Welcome back, guys. Slybacon here, and welcome back to another multiplayer battle replay. Today we've got myself as the lovely Bretonnia up against the Greenskins. And this video is going to be a wee bit different, or similar, I guess, to the previous video, which was about the Overpowered Luminarchs. Today we're going to be having a wee look at the Overpowered Dwellers below. And yes, everybody agrees that it's overpowered, completely and utterly overpowered. But I think that it's quite an easy fix to actually make it balanced. Two ways to do that, in my opinion. One is to ramp up the cost of it, right? It should be at overcasted 28 winds of magic. Currently it's 20, so it should definitely go up to 28 winds of magic when it's overcasted. Or alternatively, keep it at the same winds of magic cost that it is now, but reduce the damage by about half. Right? Either of those two things would be fine, and the spell would be completely balanced in my opinion. Yeah, alright, let's get into it. Now, before I get into it, I should say, I'm not one of those people who doesn't like really, really strong magic. I like really strong magic, and I think the game should have unit-wiping magic spells within it, but they need to cost, right? They need to cost an appropriate amount of winds of magic to equal the amount of power that they put out. We talked about this a wee bit on stream. If you have a look at Shadows, the Law of Shadows, that damage output per cost of winds of magic is exactly what every spell skill should aspire to be, right? Because that is completely balanced. A lot of the spells do quite a lot of damage, but they cost quite a lot of magic as well, and they're quite balanced as far as their damage output compared to their winds of magic cost. And I believe that is one of the only magic skills that actually is balanced at the moment. Metal is overpowered, Final Transmutation. Dwellers is definitely overpowered. And those are really the only two unit wiping abilities that we currently have. Foot of Gork kinda is as well. But again, that's a 28 winds of magic cost spell, and sometimes it does nothing, right? As you've seen in a couple of videos ago, sometimes it does nothing, even if it's overcasted. Well, I shouldn't say nothing, but it does 10% of a unit's HP, right? And there should be some risk to casting magic, right? And I think Foot of Gork is a good example of it, where sometimes, yes, 28 winds of magic, you can wipe out a unit with it, as far as cavalry and stuff like that goes. But sometimes you can put it on a unit and it does nothing. We had a match the other night, which I didn't save, but we do have a match the other night, where I cast a perfect Foot of Gork on a unit of Demigryph Knights, overcast a Foot of Gork, straight on it. The guy didn't move the unit out or anything. It was kind of just AFK, and it did 40% of the unit's HP. Which is, there's that risk factor involved that sometimes it just isn't going to work, right? It isn't going to do the damage that you really want it to do for the cost of winds of magic, right? And with that out of the way, let's go through the armies. We kind of had a wee sit down, myself and the knights, right? We kind of had a wee sit down and we thought, it's been a harsh winter. The peasants have done their job, right, for the winter. They've provided us food and firewood and all that good stuff to get us through the winter. Why not give them a day off? So we've brought a few presents out here just to awe and the magnificence that is the Bretonnia infantry, the Bretonnia cavalry, I should say. Just to awe and just watch our magnificence as we ride around the battlefield. Right, let's have a look and see what I've got. So I've got 1 unit of Knights of the Realm, and 1 unit of Knights of the Realm, Regiment of Renown, Knights of the Lion-Hearted, of course. Jumping out this side, we have 1 unit of Knights Errant, 2 units of Knights Errant. We've got the Green Knight. We've got the Fan Chargers with, of course, Dwellers, Healing, and, of course, her Bombardment spell. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but her Bombardment spell as well. These guys are just hanging out, just watching. Just come to watch us. Just come to see what the Knights are up to, All their hard work over the winter has been repaid by a visual spectacle. Let's just call it that. A visual spectacle for them to have a look at. Right, let's have a look at the Greenskin player. We've got Moonhellers, Regiment of Renown. So, is it called Moon? Yeah, the Moonhellers. Yeah. Duke Squigs, another Regiment of Renown. Of course, vanguarded in the forest, as we would expect. 1 unit of Orc Boys. Just standard Orc Boys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unit of Blackhawks. A very, very strong front line. This front line, infantry front line, will absolutely crush anything that Bretonnia can bring as far as infantry goes, of course. I mean, that's Greenskin's strength, right? Is their infantry. We've got 1 unit of Night Goblin Archers. We've got 1 unit of Night Goblin Archers, Regiment around, of course, the Rusty Arrows. We've got an Orc Shaman with a lovely Foot of Gork, a couple of other spells chucked in there as well. We've got a Goblin Big Boss just on foot. Couldn't afford a mount today for that boy. Too bad. And we've got the lovely Grimgor Ironhide. Grimgor and his Black Orcs. I love it. Very, a very thematical army. Let's say that. Very symmetrical army. God damn it, I love the Black Orcs and Grimgore together. Oh, it's what it should be, right? It's what it should be. And the Regiment of Renowned Black Orcs, whose names escapes me at the moment. Yeah, the name escapes me at the moment. Should have Guardian ability for Grimgore. At least in my opinion. At least in my opinion. Alright, so let's have a look at the spell. Again, this spell is arguably one of the most overpowered things in the game currently. Kind of on the level of overpoweredness as like Pat, the Tauren warrior, level 60 Tauren warrior, High Warlord warrior, Tauren warrior, Pat, absolutely running around, destroying the Alliance, one-shotting them left, right, and center, right? That was such a good video, guys. That was such a good video. Alright, let's get into the battle. So we have vanguarded, of course, the Green Knight forward into the forest, expecting that he would have some units vanguarded as well. So we're just jumping on top of these and just trying to do as much damage to these as possible. Green Knights, although he doesn't pump out a hell of a lot of damage against units, he's just going to last forever, right? Greenskins don't really have a way of dealing with them. Not at all. Not at all. But even then, you know, we are pumping out a wee bit of damage on them, which is ideal. And we're moving our Knights. Our lovely Knights. Let's go, boys. Can we get in there? Yeah, let's go, Knights. Come and save the Green Knight, the hero of Bretonnia. Well, we probably don't actually need to save him, let's be honest. We just need to get up there and help him along his way, right? Help these gobos along their way. Nice rear charge there from the Boar Boys. Boar Boys, of course, not a very good unit of cavalry. Unfortunately, definitely need some buffs on that. Watch out for the trees, lads. Watch out for the trees. Alright. Lovely smash in from behind. Love it, boys. Love it, boys. Right, we've also moved our other unit of cavalry, or 2 units of cavalry, I should say, up here. I was going to flank them around, but because he kind of moved a bit further forward than what I was really expecting, it didn't really happen. Oh, pause there for a sec. Right, here's the foot of Gork. I don't know if it's overcasted or not. I'm assuming it is. Let's just have a look at how much damage it actually does. Yeah, that's an overcasted. Alright, so this is a good example of what I believe is a balanced spell, right? I mean, that did quite a lot of damage to the Knights around. We kind of moved the Lionhearted out of there a wee bit, but they still kind of took a wee bit of damage. I think Foot of Gork is a perfectly balanced spell. Because if I was fast enough, and I could actually pull them out a wee bit quicker, we can actually avoid most of that damage, but I guess I wasn't paying that much attention, unfortunately. Yeah. But, you know, 28 Winds of Magic to wipe out one unit, almost wipe out a second one. I'm fine with that. I think Foot of Gork is a perfectly balanced spell. Right, let's get back into it. Green Knight again, just in the attacking. I mean, look how much damage we've done to these Moonhellers. That's insane. I believe this is a... I'm not... I wasn't going to say a buff. That's an Earthblood by me. Alright, trying to heal up those cavalry that just smashed on that Foot of Gork. Green Knight routing. Right, we're routing out 3 units here. And here comes the Black Orcs. Here comes the Black Orcs. Let's go, boys. Let's go. They're going to trap us in the forest. Green Knight coming over. Green Knight absolutely surrounded by 5 units of Black Orcs. Grimgore's coming in there as well. Here comes the other unit. Oh, what have we got going on here? Oh, it's a buff from him. It's a buff from him. Alright. You know what this is, right, boys? You know what this is.
Sorry to disappoint you, Yugi. Huh? You triggered my trap card!
We're not trapped in there with you. You're trapped in there with us. Oh, dear. I got told off for abusing the Greenskins last night on stream. Because I did this a couple of games. I thought, you know, in the first time we did this, I thought... Okay, the Green Knight's going to die here, right? We'll sacrifice the Green Knight because, you know, he's ethereal. He's going to take extra damage from spells and stuff like that. Nope. He does not. Right, here we go. Just look at this insane damage that this Dwellers does once it goes off. Dwellers below. We'll just... Oh, actually, just mouse over this unit of Black Orcs so we can just see how much damage is dropping down on these boys. 5,000. Dropping. He's popped a wire as well, which, I mean, I guess it's kind of good against the Green Knight, but you're not going to be able to kill him. It's just insane. And look how much little damage the Green Knight is actually taking. You know, it's only strong against units with 15 models or above, but I'm going to expect the Green Knight to still take a lot of damage. He does take more damage than the standard hero. Let's not think that he doesn't, but yeah, definitely should be taking more damage from that. He's ethereal after all. Yeah, look at the health just drop of these Black Orcs. What's that? Down to about... half-ish health on some of them already. That's just mental. It's absolutely mental how strong this spell is. Oh, it's just Black Orcs flying everywhere. And it's still got time to tick away, right? Still got time to tick away. Where's the one we were moused over? That one. Ah, no, this one here, sorry. Down to 3-8. So, yeah, down to about half health now. Slightly below. And it's still going, right? And it's still going. The amount of damage this thing pumps out is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I should say my cavalry's running around the back, destroying everything. He's got over there too. Well, those 2 cavalry that we had in earlier. Down to 3k. And this is, you know... I know you're going to say, oh, well, he shouldn't have bunched up like that, right? He shouldn't have blobbed. And you're dead right. You're dead right. He should not have blobbed. But that doesn't really excuse the fact that this spell does so much damage. 2-5. Look how much, like, Green Knight down to about half-ish health, I suppose. And that's with tanking all these units at the same time. Well, that's over and done with, right? But what have we got going on over here? Oh, God. Here comes some more cav. Here comes some more cav. Charging in. Oh, and a bombardment as well from the Fan Enchantress. Just to top it off a wee bit. Yeah, and I was like, don't hit my knights at the same time. But a lovely rear charge, and I didn't hit my knights at the same time. It absolutely decimated that unit of Black Orcs there. So these guys are absolutely surrounded now, Black Orcs. And again, my peasants haven't done a goddamn thing. They're just sitting over there watching. I like it. I like it. Knights are screaming around the back, destroying everything out there. Green Knight, Black Orcs, almost gone. Almost completely gone. Knights are in. Where's still Grimmy, actually? Where did he go? Where's that be? He's coming back. He's coming back. He obviously didn't like that too much. Black Orcs routing. 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 And essentially we have used 5 units, right? 5 units in a spellcaster to wipe out a whole Black Orc army. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So much damage. No, that's not another one from me. That's the Fistig Orc. Yeah, like Green Knight tanking both 5 units of Black Orcs and Grimgore at the same time, and the Dwellers below. Oh, it's ridiculous. Rout, here comes another Dwellers. You know, just to rub the salt in the wound, right? Just to rub the salt in the wound. And that's the unit of Black Orcs gone. It's another unit of Black Orcs gone, and there's the mass rout. That is just insane, right? That is just absolutely insane. My peasants did absolutely nothing. So basically, I beat him with 6 units. A whole army. Yes, and he shouldn't have blobbed. You did right. You shouldn't have blobbed. You did right. Now, I do want to show you... Okay, so what can you do to counteract that? Obviously, blobbing, not blobbing, is one way of doing it. But in certain situations, you kind of have to blob. Not in situations like that. That doesn't really count for a blob or warrant a blob. But in certain situations, you kind of need to blob. And the second replay that I'm going to show you, just a wee bit of, kind of indicates that fact that you do need to blob in certain situations. In situations like, if I'm coming at you with like 4 cavalry, are you not going to blob up with your 4 cavalry to try and stop that, right? And you might say, well, you're going to kill off your own cavalry doing that. Well, you just wait. You just wait. We'll show you. We'll show you. Oddly enough, the faction that's the best at countering Dwellers is one of the factions that actually has Dwellers. I just wanted to show you this here first, just to show you that these guys do actually take a lot of damage from Dwellers, right? We can probably go fast forward on them as well, because we just want to have a look at the damage. Yeah, so 1 Dwellers wipes out 3 units of demis, right, quite easily, right? We see that, beautiful. Let's have a look at a replay. Right, where is it? Right, so here's the army again in an actual battle. Now this army here was, I actually stole it off Captain Chunks. This is not his original army. I kind of made a couple of changes to it. He had like a cannon. He was running, I don't want to say Gout. I think it was Volkmar. He was running Volkmar. I've changed it over to Karl Franz. And obviously I've got rid of the cannon that he had. I've got myself an extra unit of demis and stuff like that. I don't want to show you the whole battle. I just want to show you the cavalry fight that actually happened. I did actually end up losing this match. For those of you who watched it on Twitch, you'll know. But I did actually end up losing this match. Right, let's fast forward. Right, so a situation like this, right? We've got 3 cav. And obviously our Lord's on cavalry as well. And that type of thing. He's got 4 cav, right? So Knights of the Realm times 2 on that side, Champions of Cornelis and Defenders of Fleur de Lis on this side. So he has the cavalry advantage as far as numbers go, right? As far as numbers go. Let's just get over here and actually have a fight with this cavalry. I'll show you. Right, let's just go back to a normal speed, right? So here comes the cavalry engagement. So 4 units of cav against our 3. We've got obviously our Lords in there as well. He's chucked in King Leon in there as well. Here comes some more cav, just to add more extra numbers. So now there's 4 units of cav in there. A unit of spearmen and a unit of foot squires are coming over as well. Here comes 1 dwellers. That's 1 dwellers that's going off, right? And there's some bombardments going on. I believe there's a 2nd dwellers that comes in here as well. From him. He might not have actually cast it. It's definitely 1 dwellers. Alright, so now you might be thinking, well, what the hell went on there, right? So, we'll have a look at the tail of the tape as we come out of it. So, he's got 1 knight left out of his 4 that he chucked into that fight, right? I've got my lords still full health. Demis, okay, they took a lot of damage, but again, they were tanking 4 units of cavalry, plus the dwellers at the same time, plus a unit of spears, and a lord. I'm not going to say the foot squires are in there, because they definitely were not. Let's just quick replay, and I'll show you that again. And I'll talk about why, or what's causing that fight to go into our favour, because it probably shouldn't, right? That fight probably shouldn't go into our favour. So I'll just talk about exactly what's going on, and why we were able to actually win that engagement. I'm going to say quite easily. I did think when I was playing it that he actually dropped his dwellers on there at the same time. He might not have. I want to have a closer look at that. I believe there was 2 dwellers going on in that fight. Right, let's get back over to it. And just before the engagement begins, I'll talk about what's... Well, actually, I'll wait for it to pop, and I'll talk about what's actually going on, and why we're not taking as much damage there as what we probably should be, right? Right, here comes the charge. The charge... Right, that's a buff. That's the dwellers. Right, so that's the dwellers, right? You can already see there's another thing going on here, right? And that's coming off this dude here. And that is, have I popped it yet? No. So he's got the Shield of Faith. All right, let's go forward a wee bit. So that's a 22% damage reduction. There's dwellers, waiting for it to pop. And what is incoming now is Soulfire, which gives your units 90% missile, magic resistance, within a 15-meter radius. So obviously with a cavalry blob, it's going to make all those resistant to the magic, right? So you've got the 90% reduction in damage from dwellers, of course, and you've got the 22% damage resistance on top of that as well. So both of those obviously make my blob a lot stronger than his blob. But even then, right, let's go. Right, my extra damage is coming out. I did think he dropped the dwellers at the same time. He might have, we might not just be able to see it. Because I'm damn sure there was 2 dwellers going off when I actually seen it, although it doesn't kind of look like there was there. It definitely looked like it was, right? Well, it did look like it when I was playing it. And like I said, as we got out of the battle, you know, I've still got my 3 lords really healthy. Yes, we lost quite a bit of our cav, but he lost more. You know, he lost 4 units of cav, whereas we lost 3 or whatever. And then later on, we do actually heal these boys back up as well, because how's the models? Yeah, they haven't actually lost a lot of models. It's more the health, except for that one there, right? Except for that one there. But he's come out of that with 1 cavalry unit left. So yeah, unfortunately, the way to counteract it... well, fortunately, if you're an Empire player, I suppose, is to actually bring a Warrior Priest, or you can bring Volkmar as well, with the damage resistance buffs. What's it called, if I can get in there and have a look? Soulfire, and I don't remember what the actual other damage one was. Oh, come on, let me do it. Let me do it. No, I can't remember what it's called. Oh, I can have a look at it out anyway. Soulfire and something else, right? Soulfire and something else. I can't remember what the damage resistance thing actually was. But we'll have a quick look. It's this dude. So Soulfire, that gives you that 90% magic resist for 7 seconds. Now bear that in mind for 7 seconds. And he's also got Shield of Faith. Okay, that's what it's called as well. So the original build had Volkmar in there as well. So basically the same spells, right? Except you obviously get the grand one. And the Grand Soulfire one as well. Again, they're exactly the same, but the meterage is just bigger, right? The distance that the spell actually protects is a bit bigger. So this was like the original build. Actually, no, I'm lying. That wasn't the original build. That was the original build, something like that, right? And these guys are on better mounts, I believe. That's where the extra money came from. Yeah, but I changed it up just to get Carl Franz in there, just to give us a bit more damage and all that type of stuff. So yes... If you're Empire anyway, you can kind of counter dwellers. Now, the other thing, we were talking about it on stream while we were playing it. Probably don't want to have 3 units of these, because you want to counter as much of his cavalry while not sacrificing as much of yours as possible to get a better advantage. So, you know, here the cannon. I don't think the cannon's a very good idea, because this build is kind of built to counteract Dwellers, and of course Dwellers absolutely wrecks cavalry, as you guys well know. I kind of think like an extra unit of great swords, and maybe an extra unit of flagellants, or even, you know, take those out and get you some handgunners. You know, something like that I think would be a better use of that money rather than the 3 cav. I think the 2 cav is a good option, and just use those. I think that's probably the better build. Whether you want to bring Volkmar or Karl Franz, you know, for a more damage dealing lord, or a Nor lord for it, now we've got 2 versions of each of these, right? So then we can actually tank our own Dwellers, which in that match that you just watched, that was my Dwellers, that wasn't his, that was mine. So you can tank your own Dwellers, and then you can also tank your opponent's Dwellers at the same time by doubling up on the 2 different spells. So you can counter it. It is completely overpowered, and it does need some changes, but there is ways to counter it, at least for some factions, Now, the other kind of way we were thinking as well, you know, again, talking on stream, is to have multitudes of these guys, right? You know? Have these dudes, right? Obviously, he wouldn't be on a mount. If you just want like a really strong infantry force, you know, and then just spread out these. Obviously, you don't need all this stuff. You know, take that off, leave those. Again, he doesn't need all his stuff. We're only really bringing him for the damage resistance ones. I guess we could keep the battle prayer. And, you know, form up your infantry line and then just spread these dudes throughout it, right? So then you've got a mass coverage to protect yourself from Dwellers. So that is another way of doing it, if you wanted to do it that way. But, I don't know, some options on ways to deal with it. But again, I do think it needs some changes to be balanced. But as it stands right now, it is... I mean, that and Final Transmutation are probably the 2 most overpowered spells in the game currently, and I do think they both need some adjustments. Final Transmutation is a different beast, and I think we'll look at that in a different video. Alright guys, that is today's multiplayer video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.